Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Gabriella Agostinelli with Berardi Immigration Law, and today we are talking all about foreign students, international students. International students have been the topic of a lot of controversy lately in the United States as it pertains to our government. So today we're going to kind of talk about what's been happening, what should I know if I'm a foreign national, if I'm an international student, and just some best practices for moving forward. So the first thing I want to just, as part of my introduction, our firm, Berardi Immigration Law, is located in Buffalo, New York, and we are a primarily business immigration and family immigration law firm. And a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, surprisingly, and I myself don't really believe it, my job really hasn't changed much since the start of the Trump presidency. Sure, there's been lots of updates to different areas of immigration that have been impacted, but my area really has not, except for as it pertains to international students, because so many of those international students end up becoming my clients when they're applying for work permits down the road. The Trump administration is clearly prioritizing national security right now. And what it's chosen to focus its national security efforts on, among other things, is international students. Why is this happening? Well, part of this is that international students and students in general tend to be the population that focus most on human rights, protesting, social media activism. And the Trump administration has been quite clear that its main concern at this point in time is rooting out anti-Semitism, as well as making sure that we are not letting terrorist sympathizers into our country. And international students have been caught in the crossfire. So why don't we talk a little bit about what the heck has been happening and what the heck is going on right now to try to stay organized and get a better feel for what's the state of the law of our general practices right now. So what has happened is that in the earlier parts of this year, February, March, students started realizing that all of a sudden their visas were getting revoked, or their CVIS records, which runs their international student portal, were being terminated. And for being terminated, we're being terminated for seemingly innocuous things like parking violations or speeding tickets or fines. Now, some others did get revocations based on having a criminal history that may not even have been disposed of quite yet, may still be ongoing, or was already disposed of and dismissed. This created a lot of havoc, as you can imagine. And eventually, the courts, following receipt of many, many lawsuits, said, whoa, Trump administration, you can't do that. All of these revocations, we are taking away, we are restoring these students' status, and you can't do anything further about that right now. That is in litigation, and we are going to have hearings in the coming weeks and months on that. But for now, those folks are safe. Then the Trump administration went against Harvard. Harvard was refusing to release the names of students who were engaged in protest or disciplinary or behavior that required disciplinary action. Harvard said, we're not releasing the names. And Trump said, okay, well, you lose your right to host international students, of which they have 6,800. That was also quashed by the court system. And it's been refreshing to see that checks and balances really is working right now, which is hopeful, but it's not over yet. So what else has happened in the meantime? Well, at the end of May, the Trump administration said, you know what? We are pausing all visa appointments for anybody applying for an F1, which is an academic student visa, an M1, which is a vocational visa, or a J1, which is an exchange visitor visa for medical graduates, au pairs, summer camp counselors, trainees, interns, and everything in between all fall under that visa. So, of course, everybody else panics. What do you mean? I'm supposed to be traveling to the United States. My program is about to start. Then, on June 4th, the Trump administration puts forth a proclamation saying if you are a member of these countries, no more visas for you. And if you are a citizen of these countries, you are going to have a much harder time getting a visa. Now, you can go online and check what all those countries are, but this is very reminiscent of the period which we refer to as the Muslim ban during Trump 1.0. That is still valid. But in the meantime, June 18th, the Department of State, which oversees all these visa appointments for F1 students, said, nope, you know what? We are going to go ahead and have the ability for foreign students to attend visa appointments. But what we are going to do is make it a little bit harder. We're going to make it more challenging, that we are going to have to really vet these cases a bit more. And what we're specifically doing is that, number one, all of your social media handles must be set to public. You no longer could have private. And if you do have private, we can use that as a grounds to deny your visa application. So on your visa application, you have to list all of the social media handles you've had over the last 5 years, and you have to set them all to public. If not, we have grounds to deny whether or not you get a visa. There are also some Department of State cables that came through that have told, there is a specific communication, a Department of State cable that came through that said that officers can be way stricter and when they're reviewing somebody's request. They're advised to be more skeptical and careful before issuing an approval. They do have the right to issue refusals on a visa appointment until you have made your social media handles public. Okay, enough about that. Bottom line, what we tell our clients is if you are an F1 student, tread carefully. I'm not here to advise you to remove anything from your social media life. That's not something I'm telling you to do. But what I am saying is they are looking closely, so act accordingly. Let's zoom out. F1 visa. What is this? It's an F1 academic visa. It's for individuals who are attending school in the United States at a university. Now, individuals who are here in F1 status should be careful to always maintain a full-time course load, okay? That means at least 12 credits a semester. And here's something, if you take away anything from our conversation today, what I want it to be is anything going on in your life, in your academic work life, that requires any kind of change to what you're doing as an F1 student in the United States. Remember, the designated school official, or DSO, at your university, every university hosting international students has one. They are your best friend. This is a person you go to for everything immigration speaking, everything that has to do with your right to be in the country. You go to a DSO. If you need to reduce your course load, if you need to travel internationally, if you want to drop a course, if you want to have an internship, if you want to work on campus, if you want to have graduation, postgraduate work authorization, your DSO is a person that you go to. You lean on them, rely on them, and they will steer you in the right direction. In my experience, DSOs are very good. They know the limitations of what you can and cannot do as a student very well. Go to them, because I will tell you, I've had people try to file for work permit applications on their own that are postgraduate work authorization applications done on their own, knock onto their DSO, they tick a wrong box and they are cooked. There's nothing that DSO can do at that point. So you have to tread carefully. There are rigid rules. Make sure you stick to them. So one of the things that foreign national students should know is that when you are attending school and both when you graduate school, you are eligible for work authorization. So if you are trying to work on campus, you can do so up to 20 hours a week as an international student. But if you're trying to work off campus during the lifetime of your program, you have to obtain something called curricular practical training. Again, go to your DSO. They will help you once you have a job offer, an external job offer, you go to the DSO to update your I-20. Your I-20, again, is the document that shows that you are actively enrolled in an academic course of study. That I-20 is controlling. It has to regularly be updated. If you want to travel, you need a new travel signature. If you want to get some kind of internship, if you want to get some kind of work authorization, if the dates or titles of your programs have changed, your I-20 needs to be updated as well. Nevertheless, if you are here during your program and you're on CPT, you go to your DSO, they will help you get the paperwork to do that. What's nice about CPT is you don't need to get additional confirmation from United States Citizenship and Immigration Service that you have the authority to work you are authorized to work in the United States. This can all go through the DSO, through the employer, and through your CVIS portal. Now, anybody who graduates from an institution in the United States is automatically eligible to get a 1-year period of work authorization. We call this OPT, optional practical training, 12 months, okay? During which time you can have no more than 90 days of unemployment. You can apply for optional practical training up to 90 days before your program ends and up to 60 days after it ends. When you are working in OPT, you should be working in a field that relates to the course of study that you completed. And interestingly, if you have a degree in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, or math, you are able to actually obtain a 2-year extension of your OPT, your optional practical training. We call this STEM OPT. You can apply for this within the 90 days preceding the expiration of your first OPT period. And you get an automatic extension as well. You are authorized to continue to work with that employer through the lifetime of your pending period. So you get up to 3 years total of work authorization post-graduation if you have received a degree in a STEM field. Now, what should I be doing during that time as an F1 student? You can continue to travel internationally through that time, though you will have to have a valid F1 visa stamp in order for you to re-enter the United States. And again, you have to be cautious of the maximum unemployment periods you can have during that period of time. You have to continue to have your I-20 updated. If you are here as a if you are here working in STEM OPT, not only do you have to have an EAD, an employment authorization document, which you also have to receive from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service for OPT, you also need to fill out something called a Form 983 training plan. You fill that out with your supervisor at your place of employment, and you give a copy of it to your DSO every semester. This is, again, post-graduation. And with that training plan, you have to still be able to establish the nexus between your area of education and the work that you're doing for that employer. Interestingly, in the United States, you may only work for a STEM OPT. You can only work at a job with STEM OPT if that employer is enrolled in a program called E-Verify, which is an electronic verification system that employers can opt into to ensure to the U.S. government that everybody that is working for them is indeed eligible to work and not working without authorization. So what are some housekeeping items that you also need to know as a student during this time? Well, most students, at least the ones that I come across, they have plans to try to stay in the United States post OPT period. They want to, if they want to stick around to work for a year, most of them want to stick around to work even longer. How do they do that? Well, there are a few different options, but predominantly, and for most individuals, the only option is something called an H-1B. We call this a specialty occupation visa category. This is for individuals who possess, at minimum, a bachelor's degree in a specific field and who have a job offer with a U.S. entity that requires, in a position that requires that education that that person has received. So for instance, if you have a degree in software engineering and you have a job offer as a software developer with a company in the US, and that software developer role requires a degree in software engineering, excellent fit. That's a great H-1B right there. Now, how does the H-1B program work for first-time applicants? Interestingly, it starts with a registration because the H-1B system is subject to a lottery. And why is that? Well, it's because demand for H-1B, for an H-1B visa, so far outweighs supply. To give you an idea of this, let me just give you some numbers. Every year, Congress mandates 65,000 visa numbers to be issued for all individuals applying for a visa. This can be somebody who's living outside the United States or for F1 students in the United States as well. It allots an additional 20,000 visa numbers for those who are educated in the United States and have received a degree, a master's degree or higher from a U.S. institution. Well, last year, over 483,000 people applied for those 85,000 visa numbers. So as you can see, the numbers aren't great. The chances aren't great, but that doesn't stop people from applying every year. Nevertheless, because it's governed by a lottery, what happens is every March we need, during a specific time frame, usually about 2 weeks, employers can submit a registration on behalf of that individual saying, I would like to employ this individual at the conclusion of their program or starting this October, which is the start of the fiscal year, to employ this individual in H-1B status. Here's some basic information about our business, some very basic information about the individual. They submit the registration to USCIS, and at the end of March, USCIS does a randomized selection, electronic selection of all of the registrations. And if you are selected, then you now have 90 days to have your employer submit a registration on your, or submit a, an H-1B petition on your behalf. If that petition is approved, you begin working in H-1B status that October 1st. Okay. Now, there are some rules that affect students specifically who have their work authorization period expiring between April 1st and October 1st. We call this cap gap. If those individuals submit their H-1B petition before their EAD, their employment authorization, expires, that person can continue to work in the United States up until the time that their H-1B becomes activated. Additionally, we can fill out the forms, we can fill out the H-1B petition in a way such that your status can automatically change to H-1B on October 1st without you having to leave the country, get an H-1B visa stamp, and return to the United States. It's a seamless transition. Your approval notice will have a new I-94 admission record at the bottom, extending your stay for typically a 3-year period. Then, if and when you do need to depart the United States thereafter, you will have to attend a visa appointment at a consulate or embassy abroad, get that H-1B visa stamped in your passport, and then re-enter the United States. That is the only way you can return to the United States, unless if you are a Canadian citizen, you are visa exempt and you don't need to do this. Be advised that the H-1B period initially is 3 years, as I just mentioned. You can extend it for another 3 years. At the conclusion of that 6th year, you must have either completed the preliminary steps of the green card process, or you will have to return home for at least 1 full year and re-enroll in the lottery in order to come back to the United States. When we complete the preliminary steps of the green card application, we're able to extend your H-1B status for a certain period of time up until the time that you have actually obtain the green card. So immigration is super, super complex in the United States. The United States government does not make it easy for anybody. And certainly right now, it has not made it very easy. But some things I really want you to keep in mind. First of all, I want to tell you, stay calm. Okay. Right now, there's a lot of panic that everybody is having. And I get it. You can't turn on the news without hearing some horrendous story that happened to some person who was here without status, some student, some person was turned away at the border, people in parole programs are being sent home. But my message of hope to you is that if you follow the rules, if you haven't gotten yourself in trouble, if you're maintaining your immigration status appropriately, you should be fine. Okay? You should be fine. Right now, there is no reason to panic if you have kept a clean profile. If you're not putting messages online that can be viewed as inciting hate towards the US government or sympathizing with terrorists, if you are not overstaying your period of time that you've been granted in the United States, you should be fine. So, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I am happy to take any questions. Please reach out to our firm. You could send us a message through our website. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions. I want to acknowledge Barclay Damon, who is sponsoring this as well. Barclay Damon is our sister firm. And we are happy to answer any questions that you guys have. And I don't see any questions have come up. So please have a great day. Thanks for joining me. And you guys take care.